Stephen, listening to you makes me realize we're down in Arizona. Different laws, different local rules, different attitudes. Yeah. We also have a property in California, and California yet again is different. I don't know how many people know that this country consists of 50 states, which are divided up about half and half into so-called judicial and non-judicial states. In a judicial state, in order to foreclose on a home, you have to go to court. The bank has to initiate a lawsuit, go and get a judge to sign an order so they can foreclose. In the other half, which includes Colorado and Arizona and Oregon and Washington and California and numerous others, they don't have to do that. It's and in those states, it's extremely difficult. So it's really challenging, and I think it's far too complex to get into, other than to say the complexity is extraordinary. And Tara, your suggestion of some sort of foreclosure summit is a wonderful, wonderful idea, but which state do you do that in? Because in every state it's different, which is bizarre. One of the strange things one learns in this is that depending on where you are, and as you said, Stephen, even in this state, in Colorado, you can have two judges in the same town coming up with two different decisions on the same question. Yeah. It's complex. So what do we do?
Well, you know, it's got to start grassroots, ground up, okay? It's got to, you know, it's like real property is under our feet, okay? I mean, just be concrete about it.
They call it Mother Earth.
Yeah, Mother Earth, okay? And you know, real property is defined by this. I mean, we're our presence where we are. You know, we start where we are, literally. You know, it's like that, and it's like in the county clerk and recorder's office, you can go see legal descriptions of every iota of property in this county and who owns it. You know, ideally, you know, it's not always that way these days because of I don't want to get into MERS. That's a whole other conversation. But it's like, start where you are and say, hey, let's have a summit right here in our county and say we want to make sure that whoever's coming in here to foreclose has the right to touch this ground, okay, or an ownership right. And they may have the right to do that, but if they do, they have to produce evidence would be the position, not just say, we have a right to foreclose because we say so, you know. It's like require evidence, you know, proof of the chain of title. Difficulty is, and again, I'm repeating this, part of it is like, you can do that in Colorado, but you have to, as a homeowner, hire a lawyer, file a lawsuit, have a judge that lets it get to issue and go to trial, and then in discovery you get it. So $50,000, $60,000 worth of litigation later, you'll get the information you need about what right they have to foreclose. Now, in a criminal proceeding, you have a right to get discovery, okay? If a state prosecutes you in a criminal proceeding, they have to produce all the documents they have. You may fight with them over whether or not, you know, they gave you everything or what it means, but they have a duty to produce that. In a divorce proceeding, you have to produce, or a domestic relations proceeding, you have to produce financial statements, affidavits. You have to do that. You might fight over what's in them, but you have to produce them, right? In this area of litigation right now in Colorado, every case a homeowner files, you have to fight over the right to get that information. It takes a year to do that.
We've been doing that in court for a year.
Yeah, you have to fight over that. So what this would do is say, wait, just like in a criminal, I'm not equating this to criminal, although, you know, that's a whole other thing. You know, federal and state investigations are underway, but I'm not involved in any of those. In domestic relations, you have to produce it. So why not in foreclosure, when someone's going to take my ground, they want to take my ground, they have to produce this documentation. I don't have to fight with them for the right to get it. I don't have to fight for the right to get it in a domestic relations or a criminal. So why is it that when they're going to take real property, I have to fight for the right to get the basic documents that they need to show that they have a right to even be here? You know what I mean? That's how it is. So that's why we need the legislation to be changed so that the judges will actually have to refer it. Under Rule 120, and there is a judge that signs a Rule 120 order, so non-judicial, so it's a non-adjudicated is what I call it, you know. It's a non-adjudicated foreclosure. If you go to Rule 105, it's adjudicated, which means you get discovery, you do depositions, interrogatories, you go back and forth. Rule 120, you don't have to go through that adversarial thing, and it's entered without prejudice to the right to adjudicate. But who can afford to sue a bank for a year and a half to fight over a home when they still have money to hire the best lawyers money can buy, you know? And that's okay. I've been in those fights and having fun with the ones I'm doing. Stressful, you know, it's changing my dreams, my conscience, everything. It's like, it's just crazy. In fact, I had one the other night where it's like, God, this litigation is like Cirque du Soleil. You know, you walk in here and it's like, oh, the servicer, oh, there's an investor, but oh, they disappeared. Oh my God, who's that? It's like you get into this and it's like, and you're constantly fighting over all this stuff, you know? It's worse than a three-ring circus. You know, so as a lawyer, you have to, and I'm thinking, God, okay, that makes it easier to deal with it. Because it gave me like a higher level of way to organize my thoughts. Okay, don't be confused anymore, it's just Cirque du Soleil. So, you know, don't be confused when you have to fight over this again, or this again, or this again, or this again. But anyway, it's difficult to do. It costs money to fight over it, you know, and not that I'm getting wealthy at it, you know, in fact, it's a whole different deal.
Well, we think it's a setup for the heart of America to come together, just as we're coming here, and notch it up to another level. And Einstein's quote, "No problem was ever solved in the same consciousness in which it was created." We believe that it's a frequency thing. That when you start talking about Mother Earth instead of a security, you know, you start bringing in a higher vibration, the heart, into it, you're actually raising the level of the playing field where the laws are actually different. So from this level, it looks immutable, impossible, but all of a sudden, Tara puts her leadership thing together, and all of a sudden the playing field is raised with people who are power brokers, who are leaders, players in the world. And all of a sudden, the laws change.
And you know what else? The judges,
the rules change.
The judges, they'll get that, the real property law, because they, you know, but they've been duped into just following the non-judicial procedures. But once judges are reminded, if I can add just one more thing, that is like the real property being grounded in the Mother Earth. Another thing is, and this is a fundamental part of our nation, right? So people forget this, but and the elected representatives are not the sovereign. Okay, the people are the sovereign. Okay, everybody walking this earth is sovereign. We elect these people, and they need to be reminded now and then. So talk to them. Hey, someone's messing with my real property, and I'm counting on you to be taking care of that, so we can trust you. So, and I'm pitching this law again because it would make litigation easier, trying to make my job easier for not just me, for everybody, every homeowner, and it would protect real property interests for everybody involved in real property.
Stephen, I want to thank you so much for the work you're doing. It's vital, and I just hope there are more Stephen Brunettes in every state in the union. This is, you know, this is real work. It's hard as hell, and you're showing up for it, and bless you. Thank you for that.
Well, thank you. For
It is 7:50 p.m., and I would like to open it up to the audience. It's quite possible there are some questions out there. I don't think we're going to get any truly technical questions addressed tonight. I think what we're doing here, it's more the visionary thing. It's more the rebirth of the American dream. How can this disaster turn out to be the greatest blessing that ever happened? Interesting. There was a wise man once who said, I had 3 major disasters in my life. I think one was a death, one was a divorce, one was a disease. And he said, looking back in life, that was it. Those were the turning points. Those were the blessings. Those were the things that put me where I am today. And that was Joseph Campbell, who, you know, ended up being a highly respected individual and might not have been what he was